What's up, guys? This is your boy Gus from Gus Villa Jewelry. What's up? You're gonna cut to the intro now. Dun, dun, dun.
Gus Villa Jewelry.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Gus from Gus Villa Jewelry. Back with another podcast. We got quite the mother effing treat today. This is season 2, episode 3. I told you guys that I'd have a guest for you every single time. I'm working hard to get you a guest. Luckily, I reached out to this guy via DM. He's a friend of a friend, got introduced to me that way. I've been following him on social media. I'm going to surprise him with a lot of content that he has no idea that I've been watching, and I wanted his genuine reaction to it. That's why I haven't told him that I was. He is the author of the Montana Method. Not only is he the author of it, but he's also the creator of this method, which I think you guys are going to find very, very interesting. His name is Nelson Rodriguez, and he's right here. Welcome to the podcast. Clap in the back, creep. And for the love of Christ, man. Got one audience member and he sucks.
Bro, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
No,
Way to gas me up for nothing,
no,
Nelson.
I'm not gassing you up. That was pretty good.
Yeah, thanks. You
Take
suck.
it from a promoter. Listen.
Yeah. Oh, now you're a promoter.
No, I call myself, I'm gifted in many things and I'm gifted in many not things. Promoting is one of my skills that I've crafted over the years, and that was not bad at all. That was pretty good.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for the
you're 1 in 31.
Thank you for the baseless compliment. I will take it.
Coño.
And well, thanks, bro. First off, thank you for coming onto the podcast. We're not no somos macho, pero somos mucho. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not many of us watching this. Everybody else likes my other kind of content, but whatever. We'll shove this one down their throat. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the podcast. Thank you. This guy's, as you know, we have the book right here. We have the Montana Method. I am a reader of it. I just finished it on my flight here from Ecuador.
Thank you,
How you doing today, bro?
I'm blessed, man. This morning I was over at the South Florida Chamber of Commerce meeting the president over there of that organization. It's a pretty outdated organization. They're still operating on very old rules. It's the old guard. However, I have a vision of bringing anyone who's in the old guard into the new guard, which is this.
Which is the new space.
Correct.
How we youngins do it.
Correct, because you have sponsors in there dropping $10,000 or $20,000 to be connected. You know, so my vision is to meet with those people, introduce them, and paint the vision of the digital world, and show them what's possible for them if they transition, if they bring that hustler, hardworking mentality into this. You know, it'll be big.
I could tell you, Nelson, you are living out one of my frustrated dreams. I'm never gonna do it. I've already resigned to that fact. I tried a couple of times. I'm awful at it. So therefore, I'm like a person in the audience looking at a musician do something that's incredible and just being in all of it. I know I'm never going to be a drummer, but I still want to see, someone rip it up on the thing.
Right.
One of my biggest dreams was to write a book, and maybe some down the line, maybe I'll have time for it. Right now, it's no longer a passion for me. So I am really impressed, number one, by the skill that it takes to write a book, the time that you must put aside to write a book. The fact that as a person who probably writes books, checking and editing, and then finally just saying that I'm going to release it is a huge thing to overcome. So I'm happy that you're here next to me. You're my first author that I have on the podcast, so I'm really happy with it.
That's an
and I want to know, I want to know how the courage, the idea, and the execution came about to write the Montana Method.
All right. So I was, at the time, most people labeled me as a successful entrepreneur. I had put my blood, sweat, and tears into this company. We had grown it from zero. Well, I had grown it from 0 to 4,000 clients in 4 years.
What kind of company was it?
We were, it was called Cannabis Cards. So basically, we help people get their medical cannabis card in Florida. So we built it pretty big. Anybody who was at Miracle Leaf, all these people that were, everybody knew us. We were the small fish in the big pond. But everybody knew us. We were doing the right things. Revenue was coming in. We did really well. We built it from nothing, word of mouth marketing. All of a sudden, in July of 2021, I get indicted over some really, really, really minuscule crap that was not a big deal, but it was illegal. And, I went down for it, unfortunately. So what happens from one day to the next, I'm banned. I'm not allowed to work in healthcare, period, for the rest of my life. So I'm like, wow, okay, my business is gone. It was such a part of my identity. You know what I mean? I was my business, and now I didn't have my business anymore. So it's like, who am I now? So what happened was I had a lot of free time and a lot of time to think and reflect, right? By the way, one of the most uncomfortable things that can ever happen to a person is having the weight of the federal government on you. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. I promise you. Anyway, so what happens is I have a lot of time to think. I have a lot of time to really be like, bro, what do I want for my life? If I die tomorrow, there's no proof that I was here whatsoever. No proof. Like, I'll die tomorrow. No one knows who I am. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. There's things I want to leave behind. There's things I need to say. There's things that would be useful to somebody that I could put out into the world. I'm going to write a book. F it. And I wrote the book. It took me 6 months. I wrote it in one shot. And I put it out there. And I said, you know what? If nothing else, if I die tomorrow, that book is here forever. And people are going to know how I chose to live my life, the experiences I went through, and hopefully learn from it and leave a positive impact somehow, some way. Maybe somebody will read it, So I did that, and then I was trying to think of ways to expand on that because I wrote something really good that was really important to me. And I thought of how else can I put this out? Like, how can I expand on this subject? What can I do to so more people can kind of find out about it? First and foremost, I skipped over one of the most important parts. But I got the name because I went back to maybe like the first thing that influenced me in my life. And the first thing that I was like, all right, so what's the first time I was ever inspired in life that really influenced me? And I said, of course, when I saw Scarface as a kid, right? So Tony Montana, his confidence, his ambition, his swagger, everything besides selling drugs and killing people, obviously. It was so attractive to me, and it was so inspiring as a Cuban kid that didn't really have any examples of successful people. So that's how Montana Method was born. Boom. That's how I came up with the name. So yeah, I wanted to keep expanding on it. I had a book launch, sold a few hundred copies. It went really well. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a podcast because if I podcast, people will get more of a dose of who I am and my style and the way I go about things. And I can keep going about the things I talk about in the book. So the podcast started audio only in June of 2021. No, I'm sorry, in June of 2022. And then I transitioned into video in November of 2022. And here we are.
Yeah. You know what's funny, dude? Like, and this is just going to be me vulnerably truthful to you. When I first met or heard about your podcast, it was called the Montana Method, right? And truth be told, man, like, I think that Tony Montana is glorified like almost to exhaustion, right? Because you would see it so many times. I remember the first thing that I thought about was, I don't know if you saw MTV Cribs when we were younger, but
of course,
everyone used to have a Tony Montana reference.
Everybody had the painting,
the poster, something, right? And it was something that's so brought up in such like nauseating amounts for me that I was like, oh man, here comes another podcast about Tony Montana. And truth be told, I sat there and kind of like eye rolled at it and judged the book by its cover until I realized that you were friends with Richie. And then the thing that stood out to me is the ability of how much content you were pumping out. And I was like, God damn it. Like, how much can you talk about Tony Montana? You know what I mean? Like, this guy isn't that interesting, But when I read your book, it was 100% eye-opening and impressive how you correlated what you said, his ambition and the things that I never looked at in that movie into the book. So in other words, it was like if I saw this color blue on a car my whole motherfucking life, and then all of a sudden I looked deeper, I looked at it to the side, and the paint color changed. And it was, you were bringing up things and quotes and specific like parts of the movie that I've seen a million times, but in a way that I had never seen it before. So I'm curious to know, how did you come up with that Number one, the different perspective. And did you ever look at it and say to yourself, bro, like, am I going to be another guy who's promoting Tony Montana movies? Like,
That's a good question. Absolutely not. From the beginning,
Really?
yes. I knew that I had such a special inspiration from this character.
this was, just to clarify, just
Yeah.
so your book, your cousin was the one that would bring the
Yes.
movie over.
Yes.
This was the bad influence cousin that would come over. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Got it. Uh-huh.
So this is my cousin. Shout out to Lewis. He was up to no good when we were kids, and he was about to get in trouble with the law. He was under probation, so it took my mom to kind of whip him. My mom's his godmother, so to whip him into shape, she moved him in with us, and we watched Scarface. I'm not exaggerating. 3 times a day. My bird's name was Yayo. My bird.
Chichi.
Yeah, Chichi. Why was he named Yayo? It's Chichi, Chichi, get the Yayo. That was his favorite line. No, but he did it. He did them all. He did the where'd you get the money and you get the power.
Yeah.
He did it all. He was great. Yeah. So absolutely not, because it was such a profound inspiration, and I'm the only guy who talks about this movie in a positive light. Everybody talks about, oh yeah, because all these drugs and it's an exciting gangster flick. I love gangster flicks. I know them all forwards and backwards. I know Casino, I know Godfather, Sopranos, bro. I know them all. I love the mob genre, gangster genre. However, the reason I watch these films is totally different from why other people watch these films. I enjoy the violence. I enjoy the all the other crazy stuff, the getting into a million fights and beating the shit out. I love all that stuff. However, what people don't understand is this man, had he not chosen to sell drugs, he would have been successful in anything he did. Why? Because of the person he was. And because of the person you are, that is what determines the quality of your life.
There are a lot of quotes in the movie or in the actual book that you pull from them, and I found some interesting here, and I want to quote them, and I want you to further elaborate them because I thought they were really interesting, especially the first time I heard them. I thought it was something where I was like, God damn it, dog. Like, that's kind of me in a way. And you kind of almost start, it's almost like the Black Mirror when you hear it from a different voice where you start looking and be like, oh, hold on, I'm kind of like that, right? And one of them was, and I wrote, it was so crazy that I had to write it down. I think it was, I'm not sure, I'm not too particularly sure. It's in the beginning of the movie, or the beginning of the book, I should say, where you say, some people live their entire lives distracted. And I remember sitting there thinking on the plane, mind you, I was reading this on the plane, and I'm like dozing off, and I'm like reading this thing, and I'm like, damn it, dog. Am I distracted? you know what I'm saying? Like, why am I getting distracted out here, dog? Is this what I'm doing, dog? You know, and I want you to elaborate on that point specifically because I thought it was a really pivotal part of the beginning of that book that I went from like being really interested in your story to now you were talking about like things and how you can transform your life. And then when you said that line, boom, everything changed for me. Then it went like full engage mode. So can you tell me about, at least that was interesting to me.
First off, I'd like to thank you because that's why I do what I do. If I could give one idea to somebody and it can resonate with them to the point where they think about their life in that way, I did my job. That's what I want because somebody did that for me years ago. I had that moment where it was like, bro, is that me? So I'll get into what you're asking about. The concept is in chapter 2. It's called the pathfinders pyramid. Okay. These are the different stages of life. Okay. So everyone starts out in stage 1, survival mode. What's survival? You're trying to put food on the table, gas in the car, trying to feed your kids. You don't really have time or energy to think about anything else. Why? Because you have to survive. Why are dictators so effective at keeping control of the population of their people? Why? Because their people are surviving. If you don't get past survival, you're never going to advance in your life ever. You learn good skills in that stage, right? You learn how to hustle. You learn how to grind, persevere, endure trying times. You don't want to stay there forever, though, obviously. So we move on to stage 2, which is distraction. Some people think they made it when they get to distraction. Why? Because they can afford a really nice house. They can afford a really nice car. They probably have the hot girlfriend or the hot boyfriend. Their kids are probably going to good schools. You go to eat at really nice restaurants. You go to really, really expensive concerts.
Qué rico.
Yeah, you go to Costa Rica. You go to Colombia like I did before I got indicted. Anyway.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So what happens is you think you made it because it's like, oh, this is why. This is what. It's not. Because you go home at the end of the day and you feel empty. All these experiences are trying to fit. It's like trying to fill a cup with an empty hole. Those experiences are the cup with the empty hole. And the water are the experiences. It's like, I can't, because this just has no value. And then you move into stage 3. Once you have that realization of the things you're doing are to stimulate and not to fulfill, you go into stage 3, which is searching. And those are the people I try to either get you out of stage 2 into stage 3 or catch you when you're in stage 3 already. That's what I'm trying to do. In searching, you've gotten past surviving and you've gotten past getting distracted. You've decided, all right, I know there's more to life. I know I want to do more. I know I need to be more. I know I'm capable of all these things. But how? Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? Who am I supposed to be around? Just how? Searching is very powerful because now you're open to the idea of having a better life. Now you're open to the idea of, okay, I have to get better as a person. Okay, I have to put in some work. Enough of the partying. Oh, hey, if you know Bobby calls me and he's like, "Oh, let's go have." No, bro, I'm done with that. I need to put my life together. I'm not living the life I deserve. And then once you spend enough time in searching, you get to level 4, which is purpose. Every person that has a purpose, they're unstoppable, bro. Unstoppable. Whether they've already reached their goal or they're on their way on the journey, whoever has purpose in their life, you can't stop them. Undeniable. They have this conviction and this energy about them that you're just like, man, I want to be around this guy. What's he talking about? Who is he? What's he doing? Who's he talking to? What books is he reading? Let me hang around the people he's hanging around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a synopsis of that.
Yeah. You sound like a very polished dude. And, you know, that's a really admirable thing, especially when it comes to like people that may not necessarily think that they can attain that. Because I think that a lot of times people are so hesitant about even seeking success because it's something that's so insanely unattainable. It's something that's so out of this league.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm not going to get there. Nah, I can't own my own business. That's not for me. And so they're going to do, as you say in the book, like humans always find the easiest path,
100%.
right? So as you do that, and you do sound well polished, and your answers are very, how can I say, they're just well polished, right?
Thank you.
And Nelson, I want to know a time where it wasn't like that, where like you were trying to find yourself, and what ultimately was that breaking point? Because I think everyone has one, right? Everyone's got that one point where like, all right, I'm a piece of shit.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to get it together. Yep. So what was Nelson like before you were todo cookie aquí sitting down, you know, Gary Veen it up in this podcast, which don't get me wrong, I'm inspired by it, but I'm saying like, talk to me about when that wasn't it.
Sure.
When you were maybe insecure, maybe when you were, because I was, you know, I've gone through some real dark times. And you see me here, and I got Gus Villa Jewelry, toda la mierda, and everything is chilling. But like, there was a times where like I didn't know what the I was doing.
Oh yeah.
So I want that. I want the unpolished. I want the raw for 10 seconds.
I got you. So one of the very beginning of my journey, where I just had no clue what I was doing with my life, and I got into searching. I got into that mode. Was when I was about 18 years old. I had just moved out of my mom's house. She moved to West Palm Beach, and I wanted to finish high school. So I ended up moving out, moved into an efficiency at my aunt's house. I was making $7.25 an hour at McDonald's. So my day consisted of waking up at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Why does everybody work at a restaurant?
Bro, everybody starts off there, I guess. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning.
Worked that pollo, by the way. Shout out to Pollo Tropical.
Yeah. Now we need the Burger King guy and the Wendy's guy and So I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, go to school, be at school by 6:30, go to school till 2:30, go to the McDonald's around the corner at 3 o'clock, work from 3 to 11, get home at midnight, and do the same thing every day. I wasn't like every kid. I had to pay rent, but now I had to pay rent, car insurance, gas. You know, it was a different mentality. It gets to the point where I graduate high school, and I'm in college now, and I'm just like, bro, I was so broke, it wasn't even funny. I was broke. Living in inefficiency with my uncle, it was bad. And I just got, at that point, I just didn't really believe in the whole spiritual thing and all that. And I knew, I was like, man, I'm capable of more. You know, I may not have the skills, but I can learn, you know. And then I remember the exact night, my friends had invited me to go play pool. I did like a super long shift that day. I was exhausted. I used to have a mail van with cages.
No way.
1998 Ford Windstar. Yeah, I promise you. They used to call it the kennel. Some stupid ass kids at my high school used to be like, bro, there's a kid in here that drives the bang bus. These guys are idiots. Anyway, So I pull up in my van, and I sit on the roof, and I'm blasting the radio. I'm waiting for my friends to get to the pool hall, and I look up at the sky, and I'm just like, man, listen, whoever's out there, Allah, Buddha, Jesus, I don't know what to call you. I don't even know if I believe in you, but listen, I get it. All right, just try to help me figure this out. Put me in the right direction, and I'll do everything else. Just shine a little light. 2 weeks later, my best friend did you ever have a boy that was like, yo, we're going to do this? Ah! Like, I had a best friend in high school that we always talked about getting rich. We were kids. We didn't know what we were talking about, but we always said, one day, one day, one day. Well, he showed me an opportunity, and it was sales. And I didn't know what sales was or anything. But for me, I looked at it and I said, I can do this. And I did it. And I grew a sales organization over the next few years that changed my life. In that company, I learned how to be a man. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to present. I learned how to speak in front of people. I learned how to portray a message. I learned all the skills that say you would qualify me as polished now. I learned in that business. And that completely changed my life. So that's one of those moments, I would say, of being unpolished. And I can tell you about many more on the way in that journey of developing my sales career that I fell flat on my face. I sucked. I was very bad. It was through all those moments of falling flat on my face and being really bad that I learned, oh, okay, so this is how I should say that, not like that. Oh, okay, let me qualify these customers to make sure they have the money to buy my product. Oh, okay, maybe I should get there a little early so that way I'm not rushing when I meet my customer. Things like that. You know what I'm talking about, entrepreneurs. I started developing these skills through all these quote-unquote failures. You know what I mean? And here we are, all these years later.
One of the interesting things about your book, again, The Montana Method, we're talking to Nelson Rodriguez, the author of The Montana Method, is there was this one story you told, and I remember putting myself on the other side of that story. And would I have done what was done for you? And I want, it made me even start thinking again on this stupid flight, from Ecuador. It was 5.5 hours. And it was a story about one time that you ran out of gas. And you went to your mom's house so she can give you $20 and the road ranger left because he thought you had stolen this car or whatever. I'll let you tell the story. But the point that got me wasn't the story, right? Like it was, of course, it's a tragic story. It's happened to me myself. I ran out of gas, right? But there's so many times where I can differentiate between someone who's constantly in need and someone who's just asking for $20, right? And so like I run into these types of situations. If you guys don't know, Gus Villa Jewelry is located in downtown Miami. There's quite literally homeless people all over every other block. There's someone asking for $1, and I usually always say the same thing: I don't have, right? And someone helped you in your case, like your friend helped you, brought you there, make sure that you had left or whatever the case may be, and you're going to tell the story now. But the point is, I sat there and thought to myself, how many times have I been asked for help? Maybe in the times where someone really needed it. And how many times did I need it? And I always look down. I mean, I'm just being truthful. Like if someone asks me for something, I kind of look at them like, oh, bro, like go work, bro. Like go do something. And it may not be that they're doing that. It may be that they're just genuinely in need. So now, because of that statement, now if I can help, whereas 40 or 72 hours ago before this flight, I wouldn't have done it. Now I can because maybe I can help a person like Nelson. And I want you to elaborate on that story because I find it really interesting, more specifically on the other aspect of it, of how many times I've been asked for help by someone and I didn't do it because I'm a dickhead, because I look down upon that person. And that's true. I'm just being 100% truthful.
I'm with you. So the story goes as follows. I was driving home from a meeting. I was flat broke. Imagine, I ran out of gas on the 836 highway, getting off of I-95 onto 836 West on the ramp right next to Jackson Memorial Hospital. I can remember everything like it was yesterday. I run out of gas on the ramp. Mind you, it's an up ramp, so I can't push the car to get off the highway. I'm stuck on the side. The median, the side little emergency lane isn't even big enough for the car. So
you're on the road.
I'm in the middle of the road. I call the road ranger. He takes me. Thank God my mom was living very close to where I ran out of gas. So he gave me a ride to my mom's house to go get $20. I'm there and I have to, it's so embarrassing because I have to stand there for 10 minutes and bang on her door to wake her up. Because it's like 2 a.m. She comes out, gives me the whole caga of the Cuban mother. All that. Give me the $20. I get the $20. I go back outside and I'm like, bro, where the is the road? I call the road ranger. Oh yeah, the cops are gonna be there in a second. Cops are gonna be there in a second. 2 state troopers. Woo! I was like, yo, what's going on? Oh, the car's stolen. Wait, what car stolen, bro? What are you talking about? What? Anyway, long story short, the road ranger, for whatever reason, thought the car was stolen, and he took off. And then so the cop was nice enough, after he found out my license was suspended, he was nice enough to give me a ride back to my car. He gave me a ride back to my car. They took off. So I'm there with the $20, but now the problem is I have to get my car to the gas station. So I'm just scrolling through my phone. No, not even scrolling, because I had a little, like flip phone at the time. I'm there looking through contacts, and then my friend Carl popped up. And thank God that he answered when I texted. He was sick as a dog, super cold. He lives in Miramar, so he came all the way from Miramar, gave me a ride to a gas station, gave me extra money, gave me an extra $20 to buy the jerry can to put the gas in, took me back to my car, and let me go home. Moral of the story. Sometimes somebody, all they need is proof that there's good people on this planet, bro. What that did for me was, anytime you can differentiate between a scumbag and a good person who's just in a tough situation. For me, whenever I have the chance to help somebody, I do it, no questions asked. If I know they're a good person, if I know that they're just in a tough situation, I'll go out of my way for anybody. Because what that did for me was not give up on the planet. I didn't give up on humanity. It was a moment of grace to where it was that break. Like, all right, life wants me to get better. Like, I wouldn't have gotten this break if I wasn't on the right path. Life is kind of helping me just to give me a little push. You know what I mean? So that's what that means for me. So my message is for anybody out there, if someone genuinely asks you for help, by the way, fuck money. It's not about money. They could be asking you for anything. I mean, you know what kind of favors people ask for that are uncomfortable, but if they're in a tough situation, help them if you can, because it goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, like, I remember watching that story, like I said, and it was like the Black Mirror. It was like I was looking at myself and I was like, damn, man, like, how many times could I have helped someone?
Yeah.
And this isn't even just like even on this, like sometimes, man, like even in social media, like, or business people, I'm in the jewelry world. So some people around here will ask me for genuine help because their business isn't doing too well, whatever. Right. And, you know, whatever it is that's happening. And sometimes, like, I'll gatekeep secrets about my own trade of social media as if it's going to genuinely, like,
give you an edge.
Yeah. And it's like, that's such a stupid, infantile, ridiculous way of thinking.
It's a scarcity mentality.
1,000%. And so there are some people that I help, but there are others that I don't know if maybe I'm wrong but it's almost like, who do you help and who do you not help? Because at the end of the day, there are some people with some malice to them, and it's like it's like that. It's like when you talk about who do you listen to,
100%.
You get what I'm saying? Like, who do you help? In other words, like, how can you tell if someone's intentions are true or not true, or if they're trying to scam you or whatever the hell it is?
Well, obviously, if they're a close friend and you know them intimately, then you know that, you know. So that goes without saying. But I just have. So you know how Tony in the movie, he had this like.
I know what part you're talking about, and that was a horror rendition of that.
So I have a version of that. It's my instincts. He kind of just flips the bitch, and he's like going, you know, Freddy with the chainsaw. With me, it's more like a spider sense. I just have human beings know. Okay, so let's start with this. I thoroughly disagree with the majority of people on the internet that say people are stupid nowadays. I thoroughly disagree. People are lazy nowadays. That's 100% on the money. But people are not stupid. And you know, when you're speaking to somebody, if you got scammed, there was times where your own conscience or your own instinct was telling you, guy, this guy's full of shit. Stop listening to him. Yo, block his phone number. Don't be around him. The problem is, you saw the potential for selfish gain, and then you let them scam you because you let your greed get in the way. But there's other times where the good voice is talking to you, right? So, for example, a friend is falling on hard times. He needs $20 for gas. And instead of helping him, you're like, this guy's just a bum, you know, go whatever. you have to differentiate that in your brain. You have to understand that could be you, that could be me, that could easily be any of us, and you know him personally. So give him the benefit of the doubt and just help him out, bro. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You have to use instinct. Instinct for me, I always follow my gut, and it never steers me wrong. Even if I was wrong, I feel good because I listen to my intuition.
Yeah.
You'll never go wrong. Just listen to your gut. Everybody has that version of that instinct. You know, whether you want to call it your gut, listen to the angel and the devil on your shoulder, whatever, your conscience, whatever you want to call it. Listen to your instinct, because instinctually you know what's right and what's wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you have to say for those? I have a lot of people that listen to my podcast, the 30 of us that do. Whatever. And you know what I find interesting, a lot of people, I had one of my good friends on here. His name is Mello. And he's like one of my best friends, and he's a DJ or whatever. And he is a person who's a very self-analyzing person. And so everything is like talked about, and he needs to talk about whatever he does, just to prove it by himself. And maybe that's just the way he processes information, etc. And one of the biggest things that I kind of always preach to him is social media right now is the biggest platform for anybody who's wanting to be, number one, an entrepreneur, but number two, wanting to liberate themselves if you're unhappy with whatever type of situation that you're in right now,
150%.
whether it be going out there and starting your own business with social media, private consulting, whatever the hell may be. Yep. From you, I want people to understand, when I first met you specifically online, I didn't physically meet you up until about 35 minutes ago.
Right.
I remember being in awe of just the work ethic. And I remember calling Richie, our mutual friend, and who's also been on the podcast, and telling him, bro, who is this motherfucker that literally puts out a podcast every week, dog, every week? And he's like, bro, that's my boy Nelson. This is what he's doing. And I was like, bro, I want to meet that guy, because that is the type of people that you want to be around.
100%. Which
leads me to the point of like, there is so much overly saturated bullshit that I hear on podcasts, and it's nauseating, because everybody says the same prototypical crap that I don't want to hear, which is, oh, well, if you have bad friends, just cut off your friends. Oh, okay, cool. Like, if they were that easy, right? Like, it's the same thing. Like, 100%. You should wake up and do your bed in the morning because some general said it that went about. Like, get the f*** out of here, dog. Like, doing your bed ain't gonna do you shit, right?
Right.
I want some real, genuine secrets, or something that you could lead to people that right now are listening to this, that maybe have some doubt about what they want, maybe are self-analyzing it like my boy Mello, maybe they're doing something that just need that nudge of a $20 to go get some gas. What can you tell them? That's real. That's not this podcast bullshit that we always hear.
Of course. Listen to your soul, man. Listen to your soul, dog. Me, during the 5 months I spent in prison, I decided who I wanted to be. I'm talking about the woman I'm going to marry is going to look like, the names of all my kids, the house I'm going to live in, the car I'm going to drive, how much money I'm going to have in the bank, how many employees I'm going to have. I know the life I want down to the shoes I'm going to wear, the kind of slippers that I'm going to wear in my own house. Why? I can define it that clearly because I just find a quiet space, I meditate, I turn off my phone, and I listen to my soul, bro. If you listen to your heart and just, everybody has a passion. Everybody is passionate about something. Everybody loves doing something. For the people out there that are like, oh, but I don't know what I love. Bullshit. You know what you love. The problem is you listen to too many other people. Shut the phone off. Stop listening to social media. Stop listening to your stupid ass broke friends, and just quiet. Shut everything off and go be by yourself for a day or two. Luckily, the best thing that ever happened to me was going to prison. I wrote my comic book. By the way, I'm writing a comic book. I don't know if I told you that. I got my comic book done. I wrote my second book. I lost 25 pounds. I was able to journal 5 or 6 times a day. Like, what solitude did for me, and being alone and being away from technology and away from other people's opinions, it let me find me. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with you. You're just overstimulated. Turn off the phone, get away from other people, and be with you. The reason people are constantly listening to music, constantly watching videos on YouTube, constantly putting stuff in their brain is because they're not okay with sitting with themselves. They're scared of what they're going to find. don't be scared of what you're going to find, because what you want in life is on the other side of finding out who you are. Once you find out who you are, everything else is easy. But if you don't know who you are, you have no base. You have nothing to go on. Listen to your soul. Follow. You have a passion. Listen to your soul. Go be alone. Don't listen to anybody. Turn off the phone. Go be alone. Find, go camping. Do whatever you need to do. Listen to your soul.
Can you tell me what it was like in prison when there wasn't anything around? Can I tell you that that's one of my like, I'm constantly surrounded by people. And I think a lot of it is just the business I'm in. You went now into the shop, you see the madhouse that it is. That's like that all the time, even at home. And it's very rare that you have a time by yourself.
Yes. When
you're forced into these kind of situations, how does your mind change, and how do you turn something that was so, full? Prison's worst case scenario, my man.
Yeah.
It's either you die or go to prison, right?
Yeah. Those are the two worst things that can happen to anybody.
Tell me something that's worse than that.
Right.
No, there isn't.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
How the hell do you go to the worst place and come out with that kind of mentality? Because to a regular person, right, something has to happen for them to switch that. And I think that so many people are on the cusp of that, but can't really get there. Or maybe they go through some really traumatic experience.
Yep.
And they come out with a different outlook on life.
100%.
And I think the basis of your book, I think the overall concept of it is just the mentality that you have when you look at certain things. So 100%. What the hell was prison like? And how the hell did you come out of that with that mentality?
Sure. So I get sentenced in October of last year. So I knew I was going to be in there for a maximum of 8 months. So I drew out a game plan. I said, I'm going to record enough content so that I'm going to set it up so it keeps posting while I'm gone. So that way the podcast keeps growing because that whole 5 or 8 months or whatever it was going to be, I wanted nothing to do with the real world. I set the intention that this happened because I was not congruent with the person I needed to be. If I was the Nelson that I needed to be, my life would look very different. So I said, I'm going to take these 5 months and I'm going to fix me. All the bad habits, all the horse shit, all the crap that you portray to the real world that is your bad habits and your lower self, I said, I'm going to leave that in prison. All that is going to stay behind. And I drew out, all right, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to read every day. I'm going to write. I'm never going to have time where I don't have to worry about bills. I don't have to worry about the podcast. I don't have to worry about my things I want to do. I'm only going to have to worry about me, which is very important. That's why a lot of successful people, you see them talking about me time or whatever. I had 5 months of that. So obviously I was pretty scared because of the people I was going to be around. But luckily in the federal prison system, there's levels of security. So the pen is maximum security. That's where terrorists, rapists, that's where the worst of the worst people go. Then they have the medium, which is kind of still those kinds of people, but it's also some people who eventually might qualify to go to a lower level of security. Then you have the low, which is already a little better. Most of the cycles stay in the medium or above. And then I was at the camp. The camp is minimum security. There's 3 COs. No one there's a sex offender. No one there's a murderer. You have pretty much drug traffickers and people who did white-collar crimes.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and then the strangest thing happened because while I was there, I made friends, man. I met great people who just f***ed up and just went to prison. And I met people who were so wise. What do monks do their whole life? They're alone. They're in a temple out up in a mountain in the middle of nowhere. I was in Coleman Prison Camp, which is in the middle of nowhere, up in the sticks in Central Florida. And I've met people who had done 20 years in prison. And the things they would teach me was crazy. Just, I learned so much wisdom. I met somebody who had read the Quran, the Compass of Zen, Buddha's life story, the Bible. He had read every spiritual book, and the things I just learned from these people. Everything came together because I had set the intention of, all right, these 5 months are gonna be for me. And I'm a big believer of when you set the intention and you're serious about it, things come together for you. You know what I mean? So I know that was a long-winded answer, but basically, I didn't know what to expect, but I said, I'm going to make the best of it, and I'm going to make it so I come out a new person, so that I'm the person I need to be to accomplish what I want in life.
Was that your biggest teaching moment?
Bro, I had several aha moments in there. I go back and I read my journal now, and it's gonna be my second book, and I have so many different moments that were just like, wow, like you can learn so many when you're open and you let life bring you what it needs to bring you. You learn so many good things, man. I wouldn't even be able to begin. If I had to pick one lesson, patience, brother. Prison made me so patient.
That's a motherfucking hard one.
Bro, I was very impatient before I went to prison. Now I've learned if work hard for what you want, because obviously good things come to those who wait, but only left by the people who hustle, right? Like hustle for what you want. But if things don't work out, be patient. Try again. Be patient. It's okay. Be patient, because you're gonna outlast everybody by default. If everyone quits on the football team, you're the captain by default, bro. You know what I mean? So patience. It's so key. That's been my biggest lesson from prison. 100%.
Do you journal?
Every day.
Really?
Twice a day.
What? Tell me, because I've heard that it's
it'll change your life. It'll change your life.
Tell me. I'm a student.
All right. Cool.
How do I journal? How the hell do you do that?
Well, I just started. I honestly started. I did start in prison. I was just writing about my day, and then it would start from writing about my day to the things that happened within my day. Then the things within the day turned into the lessons I learned from what happened within the day. It gets very spiritual. At first, you're gonna write bullshit. You're gonna be like, bro, what am I doing? I'm just doing this because Nelson told me to do this. This is fucking stupid. And then after a month,
That's my future. That's coming, Papa.
You're gonna text me and be like, bro, you're a dick, bro.
1,000%.
Why you?
1,000%.
I promise you, after 30 days of doing this, you're gonna feel like a new person. Because first off, you're recording your life, right? Which is important. You want to remember how many times has a week passed by and you've been like, it's Friday already? Oh, what did I do Thursday? What did I do Wednesday? That's what a journal gets rid of. It records your day. And then if you're ever like, what did I do Thursday? Holy shit, that's the day I met Jose and he taught me about stocks and he taught me about, you know what I mean? That first, you want to record your life. Every great human being that has ever existed has a record of their life. Everyone from Alexander the Great to Marcus Aurelius to Julius Caesar to Gandhi, like these people wrote. They journaled. It's going to change your life. Journal every day. I do it right before I go to sleep. 1 page, nothing crazy. But I have 2 journals. I have my journal, that's just my end of the day journal, and then I have my future truth journal. My future truth journal is I write the life I want, but I write about it as if I just finished my day of the future. So in 5 years, I write about, you know, whatever I did that day, the people I was around, whatever I got done at work, something I did with my kids that aren't born yet. I'm not married. I don't have a girlfriend, but I talk about that, about, you know, I had a great day with my kids and I took them to the park and I met up with mom and we had a great thing for her birthday. And, you know, I just write about these things, these big plans I have for myself, but I write about it as if I'm doing it right now. So those are my 2 journals.
Do you find success in general to be more like monetary success? Is that what you define as
I feel like I'm successful right now. Success is, so I heard a definition of success a long time ago that's like, every time I say it out loud, it's crazy. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That's very fancy. Basically what it means is success is progressively making progress on an idea that seems worth it to you.
But let's just call it an end goal then. Fuck calling it a success. It's
okay.
not a...
So like an actual destination.
Yeah, right. So exactly. So your future truths, right?
Yeah.
Is this something that you get to? So as an example, I'll give you mine, right? And it's very basic, but it's just what I vision, right?
Of course.
Right now, I have a staff of, or 12 of us, right? I have what would some people be considered as a successful jewelry business. but this isn't really what I want to get to because there's still things that I want to be able to do for my family or whatever. My success is based, and this is where I sometimes seek something that's deeper than just monetary, because for me, I base a lot of my success on the success of my business. And so what I always say, and what I've always said since I was a kid, quite literally since I was a kid, was when I was 20 years old, I said, I'm going to retire at 40 years old. I'm 5 years away from that. I'm going to retire at 40 years old. I never banked on a 401k. I never put $1 in 401k, quite literally zero, because I banked on myself creating a business and selling it at 40 years old. But now that I'm 35, I realize that money is cool. You know what I mean? It does make life a lot easier.
Definitely.
Shit is a lot sweeter.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But I have to stop thinking that money is what success or that end goal. Let's not call the word success. The end goal is. So my end goal would be I want to have 5 stores, maybe have some kids, give the kids a store each one. Like I know a lot of jewelers that do that, and they're chilling. They're 45. They're somewhere in Medellin. You know what I mean? Like they don't care. That's the way they're living. That's what it was to me. Speaking to you is in a way almost like that drop in the bucket that I needed to spill it over to say maybe success isn't just money, and maybe it's not. I know it's not, but to hear from another person's mouth. So I want to know what it's like. Never mind the word success. What's the end goal like for you? What does it look like? What's that future truth?
The end goal
like?
is definitely having a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a part of it. It's not the only thing. However, if I didn't have that, the other things wouldn't work out. Why? Because everything you want typically requires some sort of investment, monetary investment. People have to, so what I tell, because I meet a lot of people who have negative associations in their brain to money. I'm sure in the Hispanic culture is very common. You know, they think that every rich person is evil and all this horse shit. And what I tell those people is, if money's not everything, why do you wake up at 5 a.m. to go get it? If money isn't everything, why do you kill yourself at a job to go make money? Because money is important. When I started admitting to myself that money was important, money wasn't so important anymore. I just acknowledged that it's important, and then it didn't become such an obsessive thing. You understand what I'm saying? For instance, I'll give you a great analogy. If you have a girlfriend and you tell her to her face, you're not important, is that relationship going to be very good? No, it's not. It's the same thing with money. Admit that money is important, and your life is going to be very different. I'm not telling you you're going to be a millionaire tomorrow. What I'm saying is once you realize how important money is, you're going to give it the right perspective. You're going to put the right energy into work. You're going to do the right things towards acquiring money. So to answer your question, monetary success is a big part of what I want. However, it's not the only thing. And there are other things like getting married and having kids and raising a successful family is important to me. So obviously I want to give my kids things that I never had. So I have to have money. You know what I mean? If I want to help other people, I have to have money. If I want to start the giant company, media company I want to start, I have to have money. So yes, money is important. However, there are certain intangibles. My future truth is being respected, being someone who has influence. Money helps, but that's more from being a good person. You know what I mean? Instilling good values in the kids I have one day. That's from being a good person. That's not so much. That has really nothing to do with money. You know what I mean? So it's a part of it, but it's not everything.
What do you work on for yourself? Self-development. What are the things that you focus on?
I didn't realize how this has a couple of different elements, right? I didn't realize how important your body is until probably last year, maybe a year and a half ago. So I'm working out a lot, and that helps me so much. Yoga, lifting weights. I used to do MMA a lot, which I need to get back into. That was really good therapy. Your body, I realized that your body is the vehicle to get you to where you want to go. And if you're driving a 1991 Toyota Camry, you have less chances of making it than if you're driving a Ferrari, right? So treat your body well, work out, eat right. Then aside from that, I do mental stuff. I try to always keep my mind inspired in the right vision. So I'm always reading. Right now I'm reading 1 Million Followers by Brendan Kane. You would like that book. It's a very good book. But I'm always reading. So to keep the mind, I read 31 books in prison. So, like, I'm always trying to make sure my mind is sharp. My mind is always in a good space, always looking in the right direction. So I do a lot of reading and writing. That helps too. Then for my spirit, I just need silence. Just a bit of silence, and things come to me typically. So That's what I do to make sure my spirit is in balance. And my emotions for my, like, their emotional intelligence is not a thing amongst adults. So emotionally, I try to balance myself out and make sure I'm not making emotional decisions. And if I have emotions that are really strong, I try to see where they're coming from. I try to get to the root of them, because being emotionally healthy is really important, super important. So that's just me in a nutshell. Some of the things I do.
Some of the things you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of things that I work on constantly, at least try to. I think the biggest ones that I build on, or try to build on at least, are connections.
That's
and
important.
I know,
Relationships.
I remember you talking to, I know his rapper name, B-Dot, whatever. I think his name
B
is
to the dot. Yeah.
that's something
Barry,
McQueen.
Barry McQueen.
Barry McQueen,
Barry
yeah.
McQueen.
And he talks about, in the podcast you guys just did, I saw the other thing, the whole day yesterday. And I remember you talking about some connections specifically with him, and how he was supposed to get signed with Bad Boy or whatever. He ends up calling Ciroc, and Ciroc ends up sponsoring
the concert and all that. Yeah.
And it was because of the connection that he did, and that's something that I work on every single day, because I feel like that's the only thing that I have an edge over someone who's not necessarily trying to build
100%.
Quite literally, that's all it is.
100%.
And exposing yourself out there. And I think I've heard it being such a common theme in just about everything that you talk about and everything that you say in your podcast, in your book, about the connection that you make in the industry, whether it be business, emotional, mental connections that you make, whatever it is. So I want to hear it from the horse's mouth, what your thoughts are on connections specifically, and how, because I think the way you put it is a very eloquent way, and I want other people to hear about it as well, because the way you said it kind of defined it for me as well, and I'd like for other people to hear it as well.
You're one connection away from completely changing your life forever. One.
I heard you say that, and that was insane.
The reason people quit is because they think they're super far away from what they want in life. And I believe in this with every fiber of my friggin' being. You are one move away from changing your life forever. One contact, one podcast, one video on Instagram, meeting one person, one investment, whatever it is. You're one move away from having the life of your dreams. And obviously making connections and meeting people is so important. I'm always trying to meet new people. This was great. You know, like meeting you, I see so many good things that could come from this, right? Who knows what could happen? I was at the Chamber of Commerce today. Just meeting new people is so important. I'm always trying to be around the right people, meet new people, try to see how I can serve them, how I can help them. I love connecting people. I'm a connector of people. I love putting people together who can do things together and create good things. So, yeah, I can't even explain how pivotal that is. You're one move away from changing your life. And the thing is, we're so attached to how we in the manner of how things get done that we don't realize that there's a million different ways you can get from point A to point B. It doesn't have to be a straight line. And by the way, as an entrepreneur, I know you know entrepreneurship is more like
yeah, for sure. It has more falls than it has. I heard there's a really cool YouTube channel that I watch. It's called Hot Ones. They eat chicken wings. I'm sure everybody fucking watches that shit. It's super funny. But they're interviewing Shia LaBeouf, and the Sean Evans, which is the host, talks a quote that I think I'm pretty sure he quotes. It was the longtime play-by-play analyst of the LA Dodgers. And he has a quote that says, losing hurts more than winning feels good. And I was like, God damn it, that is so true, bro. And as a person who owns a business, people think that this shit is gravy, right? And they know it's hard because people say it's hard, and they may see it as the end product. It's like in the beginning of the thing when I say you're so polished in the way you speak and your answers and the way you deliver a message. But what they don't know is that before you did all this shit, there was so much downs, and they felt
so much pain.
They feel worse than what you feel
Serious
right now
pain, bro.
in good.
Serious pain.
Am I right? Like, am 100%. I crazy for that?
Yep.
I've gone through, and this isn't about me, but I'm saying, like, you go through so much shit, and you will continue to go through so much shit.
100%.
You know, and the reality is, podcast and Instagram and highlight reels show only the beauty of what it is. And people come out here, and that's what I'm saying, like, and this is the part that kind of frustrates me about podcasts. And this is the reason why I ask these questions, to kind of break away from the shit that you can clip and make all motivation and all this bullshit. Because I feel like anyone sits down in a chair, get asked this question, and they regurgitate the same bullshit. You talk to like hip hop artists, and all of a sudden, all these motherfuckers are Gary Vee, right? Like it's the same rinse and repeat bullshit. Oh, you got to stay away from the haters, man. Oh, you got to stay away from the negative. Like, no shit applies. Like, all of a sudden you're you know what I mean? So like, the reason I ask this and the reason why I do all this thing is because you sound in a place where you are. I want to know the parts where it wasn't, the parts that were shit, the parts that I can tell you a whole nother podcast we could do all about those terrible feelings. And there are people listening to that are going through those types of situations where you didn't have gas in your house, where you didn't have a rough situation. So what's your advice to those people? Because they can hear it from me 1,000 podcasts, but until they hear from someone who did it, who went to prison, who wrote a book, who's what seems like in the right direction, they're in that side of the road on 836, and they got to call their homeboy because they ain't got no gas in the car.
Obstacles are a slingshot. So think of it this way. You're heading towards a goal, and you're trying to move forward, right? But instead of moving forward, you're getting pulled back. And it's like, bro, what is going on here? I'm trying to move forward. And the harder you run forward, the more you get pulled back. What people don't realize is, and what I didn't realize when I was going through these things, is that it's a slingshot, and you have to go backwards in order to have enough momentum to get to where you want to go. And in the moment, it feels terrible, and because you are that rubber band, you're getting stretched, and it sucks and it's painful, but it's a part of the process. In order to have momentum, you have to get pulled far back enough to make it to the end goal. Another thing. Your current circumstances are not your future destination. Where you are right now is not a reflection of where you're going to be. I read something in Marcus Aurelius' Meditations that stuck with me forever. I have a bunch of quotes on my door and I read them every day before I leave my house. What you do today echoes in eternity. Meaning, if you're going,
I think he said that in the book too. I mean, in the movie. In Gladiator.
In Gladiator, yeah. Sick movie.
Yeah.
That's such a legend,
come on,
bro.
Come on, dog. Don't get me started.
Don't even get me started on the movies.
Get me started.
I'm a movie buff, obviously.
Samesies.
Yo, so
that quote is deep.
What you do today echoes in eternity. So what you decide to do in face of this obstacle is going to leave a ripple effect forever. So are you going to decide to be a little bitch and let this obstacle defeat you? Why? Because you got a flat tire? Because you got a fucking divorce, you fucking pussy? How many people have gotten divorced and came out the other side and came out the great people? Because I went to prison? Oh, who am I seriously going to go cry to a fucking guy like Nelson Mandela who did 27 years?
Yeah.
These are the conversations I have in my head, brother.
Yeah.
I call myself these things. I'm like, bro, you fucking little bitch. Shut the fuck up. Like, I compare myself to other people that have had worse circumstances and came out on top. You know what I mean? You just hear these stories to where you don't really have an excuse anymore, because you can find an example of anybody who's been through way worse situations than you're in right now, and they still came out on top and came out a better version of themselves.
I think the biggest thing that if I have, I'm not going to sit here and give you the craziest motivational speech in the world, because that's not what I do, right?
Right.
I think the biggest thing, and that's people that know who I am to the core, friends like our mutual friend Richie, friends that are like my friends, right? They can probably point to 1 to 2 times in the entirety that they know me as a person where they genuinely knew that I was having a bad day or a bad moment, right? Because everything that you do, bro, every single thing that you do, whether it's my failed business partners, my failed businesses, which I've had and they've absolutely tanked, to the worst experiences of my life, the lowest of the low. And this goes to anything, bro. I'm not even talking about like the lowest of the low. It could be something like someone splashed you while you were walking down the road and you got water on yourself, right? Whatever. It doesn't matter. Getting down to the line and they ran out of the food that you wanted and it's sitting there, right? It's the only difference between people that make it and the people that don't make it is the way you look at it.
100%.
That's it. That's
100%.
quite literally it, bro. I'll give you a prime example. And again, I hate making these podcasts about me, but it's just to go about your point. When I was in the beginning of this business, it started at 2.5 years ago. I was starting off, I had one guy and he was the only guy and I didn't even know how I was going to pay him. I just knew I had to pay him before I could pay myself. That's just it. I had to do that. And I started off with him and it was nobody. We were selling on Facebook marketing, Facebook marketplace. We would like buy the little change that I had. I would buy it and I would plate it and I would sell it. And that's how I knew that I could pay him and maybe pay the rent. I didn't know how I was going to pay everything else, all the equipment and all that garbage. Right. I remember maybe 6 months into it, I started to get a little money. And now I had a couple thousand in the bank and I was like, oh, here comes Bobby Shampoo with all the, and all this shit, right? And I got this guy who bought this chain from me. And the guy bought the chain from me and was like, all right, cool, bro. Like, I want this chain, blah, blah, blah. He paid with a credit card. But it looks sketchy, dog. Ooh. Super sketchy. I was like, you know what, dog?
Going back to the what I did, dude, listen to your instincts.
Right. So I didn't. And I was like, you know what, dog? I'm going to send him the chain. I said I'm going to get the chain, right? Cool. Guy got the chain, blah, blah, blah. And then at the same time, it happened. 10 days passed by and nothing happened. So I was like, oh, you know what, Gus? Like now I had a little bit more money. This is the first big sale that I had. The same day, I was making a chain and I realized that I made it the wrong size. And so this guy came and was like, hey man, I have this, or this other guy was like, hey man, I have this chain. Can you resell it for me? And I was like, you know what? I am going to resell it. I put it up on my story. The same guy hit me up and he's like, bro, I love the chain so much. I want this other one. Can you do this other one? And I was like, well, you know what? I already sent you one. I'm going to send you another one. You know, now I got double the money in my bank account. Right. I did it. I sold it. And now it was the first time I saw my bank account go over $30,000 in my new business. Bobby, you couldn't tell me nothing.
I've been there.
You couldn't
I've been there.
Tell me nothing, though,
bro.
Right? I thought I was walking around like I was Bill Gates, dog. Bro, I was like,
you're a fucking billionaire. Are you kidding me?
I was kicking bums in the face. I was like, bro, don't you can't see me, dog.
Nothing.
Shit was crazy, bro. Dog, right? And 2 days later, the chargebacks came. And the chargeback was for $22,000. So I went from here to quite literally here in a second, dog. I woke up that day and I was broke. I didn't know how to pay the labor that I had done, the 2 employees, because now I had 2 employees, right? I didn't know how to do anything. And the only thing that changed from being here to here is quite literally the way I looked at it.
Yep.
I said, fuck it. That day was one of the only days in the past 5 years where I genuinely was upset. And I sat there, so you said, in silence, didn't speak to anybody, was insanely pissed. These guys kept on working. Nobody knew. I never showed it to anybody. No one ever knew I was upset because no one cares. That's something that you have to internalize. I ate it, dog, and they said, bro, right now could be the end of Gus Villa Jewelry. Quite literally could be the end of me. And this is it. Or I could just pick my shit up, act like ain't nothing happening, and keep it fucking moving.
Yep.
And I did. And it took me a month, almost 2.5 months to get out of that hole, bro. Scraping. I'm talking scraping by, brother. You know what I'm saying? Scraping by. And it was the one pivotal moment where I could tell you that it was proof that it didn't matter what the hell happened. It was how you looked at it. That was it. Your mentality over anything. Are you going to fold? Are you going to be a little bitch? Or are you going to be Nelson Mandela, 27 years in the can, and walks out the president of the motherfucking country?
Exactly. That is why prison didn't shake me. Because I said, I can either let this break me, or this could be the best fucking thing that could ever happen to me. Brother, you literally just have to do it in spite of. Literally just have to do it in spite of. That's it. That's it. Keep moving forward. People laugh because I've come up with this saying about myself. I improvise for a living, brother. That's who I am. I will always figure it out. And that's why the life I want is inevitable. It's inevitable. It's going to happen because no matter what happens to me, I'm going to figure out a way to make shit happen. It doesn't matter. Life is a never-ending process of figuring it out, bro. That's it. And once you accept that, you're like, oh, but I always figure it out. That's it. Nothing could ever shake you.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up with one last thing that I want to ask a question. And it's a question that I thought you always ask 3 questions at the end of your podcast.
Okay, cool.
And I'm going to ask you one of the questions because I think it's an interesting... I'm just going to fucking copy it because I don't give a shit. What defines you, Nelson Rodriguez Jr.?
What defines me?
Yeah. What is it?
I like that. Who I am as a person. Me. That's what defines me. Not what I choose to do, not my actions. Who I am as a person. Who you are is what defines you. What is who you are? Your character. Fuck what other people think about you. Do you sit good? Are you comfortable with yourself at the end of the day? Are you happy with who you are? Are you happy with your core? With if I drew out a list and I said honesty, integrity, trust, all these things, right? I have a core principles that I like to stick by. Courageous. At the end of the day, if I look at these things and I did something that fell within that realm, I'm happy with myself, bro. Who I am is what defines me. My principle, my core, my values. You know what I mean? Without my principles, I have nothing. And now, like I said, I've learned that to get what you want in life, it's about who you are. It's not about what you do. And as long as I stick to who I am and stay true to myself, that's it. That's the Montana method, bro. My kung fu.
Nelson, I appreciate you hanging out with us for about an hour. If you guys haven't checked it out, where can they find the Montana method? Is it available on... I know I found it on Amazon.
Amazon, right? Yeah. Amazon. Shoot us an email, the scarfaceplaybook@gmail.com. We could maybe get you an autographed copy. And yeah, if you want it in a rush, get it at Amazon. Audiobook is available on Audible. You can also get it on Spotify. And yeah.
Where can they follow you?
Follow me personally at Montana the Prophet on Instagram.
The Prophet.
Yeah. Montana the Prophet, yeah. So I changed it the day I got out of prison.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you.
Nelson, thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah, appreciate the invite.
Dale, my brother. We'll see you guys next time.
Say goodnight to the bad guy.
Let go.